get started. Hello! This is When Anime Goes Wrong. My name is CJ. Thank you guys so much for coming. Really appreciate it. I'm super excited to be here in Anime Midwest. They told me I was doing this panel like a month ago, so like I believe it or not, I actually forgot that I signed up to do this like a year ago. So when I got the email, I was like, ugh. So, but no, here I am. This is a subject that means quite a lot to me, as you'll discover. This panel, I should clarify, is something that affects almost every single anime production, whether you realize it or not. In fact, as I go through this presentation, you'll probably start to see some of these things even in your favorite shows. How do I put this the right way? It's something that is inherent in anime as a whole, but at the same time, I don't know, it just creates something beautiful. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so just really quick, I should clarify a few things just before we get this panel started. First off, I am not an animator, nor do I have ties to the animation industry. Please treat this as a presentation done by a fan of anime. This shouldn't really be seen as anything more than that. I am not an expert. I just wanted to clarify that real quick. And also, if you see a show featured in this presentation, don't worry, that doesn't mean that I think the show is bad or that the show itself is bad. Pretty much every single show that I'm going to be showing you, with the exception of a few, are things that I personally enjoy, so please don't take personal offense. Again, this doesn't mean that the show is bad. Quality affects us all. Okay, so we should probably get started by defining quality. For those who don't know, quality is a term that seems to originate from 4chan's A-board to describe either an animated sequence or still that looks less than stellar. Anime really isn't alone on this, as you can see. It can actually happen in both Western and Eastern animations, comics, and other productions. I have a panel from a manga there. Unfortunately, I was trying to find what that manga was called. I couldn't find it. And you can see the characters' faces are a little off-model. The bodies look a little wanky. Then they have Booster Gold there with a fantastic waist. Man, he's looking real good. And of course, my personal favorite, this animation sequence, and I'll get into this a little bit later, was featured in a show called Sailor Moon Crystal. It was the 3rd episode. You can see on the left that was the original internet animation that was featured in the episode, and that is the updated Blu-ray version. So I even show my relatives this image, and it is a really good way to show someone who doesn't know what anime is what looks right and what looks wrong. We often forget that, you know, as anime fans, sometimes anime characters can look a little different to other people, so it's nice to have like something clear and concrete, like this is what it's actually supposed to look like. So, before we continue, I think I should show you guys probably one of the best examples of quality out there. This is from an anime. Don't start yet. Yeah, some of you guys already know what this is. This is from a show called Shin Kyoku Sokai Polyphonica, and I probably butchered that title, so I apologize. My Midwestern accent is a terrible thing. I also, for clarification, I edited some of this video. You're going to see a fade transition. That's just to cut some dialogue, because I wanted you guys just to get to the meat of the quality. So if I didn't put in those fades, it actually would have made the show seem a lot worse than it actually is, and trust me, it's bad enough. So yeah, let's get started. Most of you, actually, who here has heard of this anime, just out of curiosity? Yeah, so like, not that many people. This anime is actually mostly known for this scene, and basically nothing else, and you'll see why. Alright, let's get started. Yosh! Iko! I love how calm they are, just like, oh, it's all
お前さんの言った通りだな。
彼の自宅はこの先よ。
先回りと行くか。
どうやらうまくいったみたいだね。
やっぱり殺す気なんだ。
番右、そこから高速道路に入って。
Why?
Oh, it gets better. Trust me.
驚いた。先回りしてるなんて。来るぞ。ダメだ。追いつかれる。分かってるよ。
逃げても無駄だよ。車を脇に寄せて止まりなさい。
向こうの方が上みたいだ。一般道に降りた方がいい。
The anticipation is killing me.
Sorry. Okay, we're good.
勘弁してくれ。やるな。赤。
Yep, I like to think that they didn't come back up. So yeah, round of applause for Shingeki Sokai. Yeah, it's great. I was actually curious, so I looked up online like what people what people thought of that anime, and it actually had surprisingly mixed reviews. Like some people really liked it, and then others like kind of didn't. And then I noticed like this trend where like they would say like, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and then sometimes things would kind of get weird. I wonder what they mean by that. So no, but yeah, that is a great clip. It's definitely one of my favorites. So today we're going to look at one specific kind of quality. I wanted to clarify this because a lot of people, quality can refer to a bunch of different things. There are two that are definitely the most prominent on the internet and the ones that you guys have probably seen the most. I'm defining these as in-between frames and production quality. In animation, we're often shown characters who are in elaborate action sequences. It is an animated medium. These sequences require animators to sometimes blur or distort these characters. Just as you could pause a YouTube video and see like a not so stellar version of someone's face, you could pause an anime and also see something that's not quite right. So you can see here in Disney's Peter Pan, if you can see that, you know, Hook is striking Peter's sword, you know, that sort of wave goes through him. That's something where if you're watching it in motion, doesn't really look that odd. Same with Shibuya's friend in Sailor Moon there, she's having some kind of freak out. You know, normally, again, if you pause the screen, it's going to look really weird, but if you see it normally in animation, it's okay, right? This kind of quality is not something I'm going to be focusing on in this presentation because anime is anime, it's animated. Sometimes characters are going to look a little weird transitioning from one phase to another, and in my opinion, that's something you really just can't avoid. What I will be talking about is production quality, that is quality that can be seen visibly and clearly with the human eye. It's something that lingers on the screen for long enough or is such a horrible edit that it can't otherwise be excused. You can see Haruhi there has got a little bit of a fisheye going there. That's actually not that bad compared to some of the stuff we'll see. And then Luffy down there, his teeth has actually been like, the color of the white actually extends down to his chin. It's kind of hard to see with the faded light there. But yeah, he's not looking good. We're going to be talking about Toei later. So, why should we even care about this? Really, that's a big question that a lot of people ask. And I think in order to get my point across, I really should explain why I care about this. Now, actually, it's kind of weird. I mostly consider myself a manga fan, not really an anime fan. I do watch a lot of anime, but I digest manga like a fish like drinks water. Seriously, it's crazy. I read like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure from, I think I started in like March and I finished in May, and that's like 110 volumes, so I mean, that can kind of give you an idea of how much manga I read. Manga tends to be, notes the tens part, tends to be free of quality. You don't really see that many off-character models because when mangaka or manga authors are working on manga, they're always showing us the best moment. You know, they're always showing us the sword swing at its best point. You know, what, you know, the characters moving their muscles, you know, that sort of thing. So we don't see those like lopsided faces or strange movements in manga. And so as a manga fan, I have a lot of anime friends. And they'll watch shows that I read, like One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, etc. And I'll watch these episodes that they're watching, and I'll notice something very strange. It's kind of hard to see here, but you can see, sorry for those in the back, even that first example up there of Ichigo and Rukia, it actually looks pretty good. Like, there's nothing really wrong with it, but Rukia's face is a little bit, like, kind of like, eh. Like, if you look really close, there's not really that same amount of quality, because again, there's animation, it's moving. That's not really the stuff I'm worried about. The stuff I'm worried about is these two examples here from One Piece. You can see poor Violet over there in the polka dotted dress. Oh dear. I'm so sorry, Violet. She seems to get the worst treatment in One Piece, you know, where we have a woman with, you know, very accentuated curves and a very small waist. Now looks like some kind of horrific monstrosity. I mean, she looks like she's about to break. Like I pushed her the wrong way, she'd just snap in half. And again, I'm so sorry for those in the back. And you can see down there, I'm trying to give you spoiler free for One Piece, people who haven't seen One Piece, but there's a scene where characters are propelled by little insects that fly them through the air. And in the manga, it looks, yeah, it looks nice. You know, it's like kind of cool action sequence. In the anime, oh man. I mean, it doesn't really look like the bugs are supporting Robin there in the dress. It looks like something else is floating her up. And I'm pretty sure that's not what Toei Animation wanted to have their viewers think. Yeah, no, ooh, bad. So, I wasn't really that much concerned about this issue until a favorite franchise of mine got its time in the quality spotlight. So let's welcome in Sailor Moon Crystal. This reboot was made to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the franchise. To put things into perspective, I was born mid-1991. Sailor Moon the manga came out in December of 1991, so I feel really, really old. Yeah, I think it's about to hit its 25th anniversary, yeah, because I'm turning 25. But getting on to the point, Sailor Moon Crystal was promoted as Nako Takeuchi, the author of Sailor Moon's true vision, like what she had always wanted, but for whatever reason wasn't able to implement into her work. In other words, this was supposed to be the ultimate Sailor Moon experience. And if you're guessing right now that it wasn't, you're right. Here you can see horrible quality issues. Sailor Moon and her poor friend Ami up there look, I don't know, like Ami doesn't look like she's part of our world. She kind of looks like an alien. And that's actually something that was happening all throughout the series. You know, again, we had that lady in the masquerade, the masquerade mask. And I know a lot of people on Tumblr actually photoshopped her mask off. I should have showed an image of that. And her eyes are like super tiny. Like, try to imagine her without the mask. Now, how does she look? Like, that's pretty bad. And again, I really should have put images up there. You can see Sailor Moon lying there on the bottom left corner of the screen. Try to imagine, especially for those like, I'm so sorry. Her legs are super short, like they jut right into her waist. And this wasn't something, remember how I was talking about like in-between frames, like those sort of things where like Sailor Moon falls over or something looks awkward? No, this was on the screen for like a whole 2 or 3 seconds. Like this was something they wanted you to see. Well, okay, I don't think they actually wanted you to see that. And of course we have the most infamous example. There's Sailor Moon spinning the moonstick. This is unedited. I literally just took the clip and looped it. This was how it was presented on screen for a full 3 to 5 seconds. Yeah.
Oh my god, no way.
It cracked me up because in the Blu-ray update of this show, they actually added in, I believe it was like 1 or 2 extra frames where they had the one, I guess, perpendicular. Like, so it was like those 2 and then another 2. So it was like kind of better, but not really. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So, I should clarify there for those who don't know, I run a YouTube channel called CJ vs. Manga. It's mostly about the manga I pick up, but I also do a lot of Sailor Moon Crystal stuff. Back in July 2015, I was really, really confused about all the positive attention this show was getting. In fact, it got to the point where I was just really annoyed because I was like, you know, this is something I love. I adore Sailor Moon Crystal, and this is not, in my opinion, what the series deserved. And so I ended up making a video called The Top 5 Reasons You Shouldn't Watch Sailor Moon Crystal as your introduction to Sailor Moon. I didn't say you shouldn't watch it. And the video went viral. It was kind of surprising. And I got a lot of negative feedback from a lot of Sailor Moon Crystal fans. Which is kind of weird, because in the video I say it's totally cool to like it, but whatever. That's aside the point. And I started getting really confused, because I was like, are these people not seeing what I'm seeing? You know, I didn't mean to be like unempathetic, but it just, I wasn't getting where they were coming from. And I started to get somewhat unsure of myself. I was like, are all anime fans like this? And I'm just confused. Like, am I the only one who's not, you know, who gets this? And fortunately enough, as we all know in this room, that's not the case. You know, you guys can see this. Yeah. But I wasn't absolutely sure until a little thing called Dragon Ball Super happened. More specifically, a little thing called Dragon Ball Super Episode 5 happened. Made by the same production company that makes Sailor Moon Crystal, Dragon Ball Super received quite similar quality. However, unlike Sailor Moon Crystal, Dragon Ball is a much more recognizable franchise. It has a bigger fandom. Fans are very, very dedicated and passionate about Dragon Ball. And also, Dragon Ball is Super is a continuation, not a reboot. So a lot of people were tuning in, hoping to see the continuation of one of their favorite stories. Yeah, so this blew up. Some of you guys might remember when this episode came out. All over Twitter, all over Facebook, all over the internet. And even e-celebrities such as Angry Joe and Dodger, who are 2 video game YouTubers, commented on this episode. They were focusing on this issue, and they put anime quality into the spotlight. Animators, industry professionals, and fans stepped forward to talk about their feelings on anime quality in these issues. The message was really clear to me. Anime fans know quality when they see this. I am not alone. So, who do we blame for all this? We can blame this guy. Actually, don't boo this man. No, it's a trap. I'm trying to trick you now. This is Osamu Tezuka. He's the creator of Astro Boy. And my friend will probably murder me for booing him. He's a wonderful man, and he's actually pretty much the reason why anime exists. You ever see that meme of Hayao Miyazaki where he's like, this is not a real quote by him, by the way, where he's like, anime was a mistake. Like, that's, yeah, that's kind of how I feel when I look at this guy. I'm like, did you know what destruction you would have wrought? This guy is, again, the creator of such works as Astro Boy. He is the father of manga, the father of anime. He is he's like the reason we're all here at Anime Midwest, and unfortunately also part of the reason we're here at this panel. So back in Tezuka's day, animation was extremely expensive. Most Japanese people got their animation kicks from countries like America and China. Fact of the matter was, animation was simply too expensive. Most animation studios used rotoscopes, that's that device right there, to create fluid and beautiful animation. I have there an actress who performed various scenes in Alice in Wonderland. And what they did, it's kind of, actually I got a shout here so you guys can see. What they did was the photos and the film, rather, would go inside here and they would play it and it would be projected onto the tablet here where they can then draw over it. It made it very, very simple to animate really fluid images. But it's expensive. If you've ever seen a Tom and Jerry cartoon, or a Looney Tunes cartoon, back in the mid-1900s, those cartoons were super, super expensive. I mean, just thousands upon countless thousands of frames. And put simply, Japan just couldn't afford it. Tezuka, so what he decided to do is he decided to turn to manga as an inspiration for creating cheap anime. This sort of inspiration still continues today, as many of you guys probably know. Specifically, One Punch Man and Attack on Titan I decided to use as two examples for two very different reasons. So you can see Levi there from Attack on Titan. We have sort of similar frames, obviously him opening up the window like Snow White, cleaning the house. It's a beautiful scene. That's almost identical, as you guys can see. But then there's other times where the animators decided to go a little bit more creative with it. They have him situated, the camera situated a little bit differently on his face. So they're still using the manga as inspiration, what ends up on the screen, but they're going a little different. And then you can see with One Punch Man is a very curious example because the anime is almost identical to the manga. It's quite surprising. I've read it and seen it myself. Like you can see there of Saitama on the moon looking at Earth. I mean, it's practically identical, almost identical, except the only difference really is just color. So Tezuka envisioned many of the cheap techniques that are still being used today. I'm going to go over a few of them with you. Here's stop images and sectioning. That first image is what is called a stop image. Basically, it's a frozen frame that lingers on the screen. So if you've ever seen an anime, even a cartoon, where a character is talking to another one, but the character isn't present on the screen and the other one's just kind of standing there listening to the response, that's a stop image, something that's completely frozen, but in our brains kind of simulates animation. We can tell that the people are looking up probably at Astro Boy, but we don't need them moving in order to experience that. Then we have Hanayo from Love Live there, and this is a really brilliant example of something that's called sectioning. Basically what sectioning is, it's a stop frozen image, much like that first one, except one part or some parts of the image are moving, so it creates, again, that illusion of movement. And she's happily eating that onigiri there. Oh man, I want one. By the way, I'm getting all this information from a really brilliant website called tofugu.com. That's TOFUGU.com. It's a really cool website about Japanese history and culture. Next we have pull cells. Yeah, if you've ever seen Kill la Kill, that should look familiar to you. Pull cells are a single image that is dragged across the screen to simulate movement. We have Nui there, performing one of her ultimate techniques. I believe his name is Sanaga. Yeah, thank you. I can never pronounce it. Pronounce it. Jeez, I can't pronounce. So yeah, Trigger, we'll be talking about Trigger a little bit later, decided to use a pull cell as a sort of humorous thing. She defeats him with one blow, he goes flying off the cliff, but instead of just flying off the cliff, he goes literally at a right angle. So that's a more humorous version of pull cell. Very good. So next is cell banking, and I use Skippy there. Cell banking is basically the reusage of animation over and over and over. And you can see in a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Jetsons, that kind of stuff. Cartoons in that day, they used a lot of cell banking to save on cost and time. Cell banking can also refer to stuff like transformations in Sailor Moon. Like any magical girl show that has a attack sequence or a transformation sequence that's used over and over and over, that's a really good example of cell banking. And I have a pretty humorous example here to show you guys. There we go. All right, so this clip is actually, again, no, computer, no. Okay, so this is from Dragon Ball Z. Yes. So this clip was hilariously called, and oh, it's just so perfect. Let's see how many times they can use the same animation over and over. So here we go. Run like crazy. You might notice that a lot of shows like filler episodes, they tend to use the same animation over and over and over. Let's see real quick. Current slide. Okay, so before I continue though, again, I should clarify once more. Just because you see a show you like on here does not mean I think it's bad. Please understand that. A lot of people don't understand that, which is okay. You know, I understand. We're very emotional about the shows we like. I mean, just look at me. I love Sailor Moon. So, and going off of that, just because an animation studio uses cheap animation does not mean that the result is going to be quality. What it means is that the animation studio is using its resources, either effectively or not so effectively. And I have two brilliant examples to show you, both made by the same studio. The first is a little show called Inferno Cop. Who here has seen Inferno Cop? No, not that many people. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So Inferno Cop basically is what would happen if an Adult Swim show was an anime. It's pretty great. Oh gosh, I can't believe I'm going to introduce Inferno Cop to all of you guys. Oh, you're going to love it. So here's a really quick clip that utilizes some of the techniques I just showed you, so see if you can spot them. And don't worry, I'll go over them, I'm not going to quiz you. Okay, yeah, it's very quick, so it's 13 seconds, wow, okay. Alright.
Pull out my gun.
Yeah, this leaves me no choice, alright. He was a formidable opponent. Yeah, Inferno Cop's great. No, seriously, I will warn you guys though, I would definitely, much like Adult Swim shows, it is not really graphic, but there's a lot of adult humor in it, so if you are under, I'd say, 13, just ask your parents. Don't ask your parents to awkwardly watch it with you. Don't do what I did when I was little and be like, Daddy, you guys are so cool, woo! Anyway, so we have an example, yeah, you can watch the glory down there if you want. So we have an example of sectioning. So the villain's face moves. It's the only thing that moves in the entire thing. Well, also some shading is added. So you can see that there was a stop image where only certain aspects of the character move to create the illusion of movement, rather. And then, as you can tell in the clip, all of Inferno Cop's characters do not move. They're literally static images, and they just kind of bounce or float or wherever they need to go. It's really funny. And you can see a pull cell there as the bullet's bouncing across the screen. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool cheap tricks that they use to make this show super humorous. I definitely recommend it. I think a big difference between something like Inferno Cop and Sailor Moon Crystal and Dragon Ball Super is that Trigger's being honest with you. They're not saying that Inferno Cop is anything great, and they mean that right from the get-go. You know, it's as soon as you're introduced to it, they're like, okay, this is gonna be funny. We're gonna have a really good time. And again, you know, I should really clarify, just because a studio has cheap animation techniques does not make it quality. Yeah, Inferno Cop's great. And so yeah, next up is Space Patrol Lulu Co. How many of you have seen this show?
Not yet.
Yeah, a little bit more. Okay, a little bit more. So this was made by the same company. These were both B projects, so they were side projects while they were making other shows. Space Patrol Ludo is so cute. And a cute thing about it, unfortunately, I'm not going to show you the first episode. I'm actually going to show you part of another episode of the series. One of the cool things about it is that they actually reference other Trigger shows, such as like Gurren Lagann, Little Witch Academia, and this clip, which features a parody of Kill la Kill. Actually, how many of you have seen Kill la Kill? Okay, a lot more. Okay, oh yeah, you're gonna love this then. And as you know, I was shown before in the pull cell slide, Kill la Kill used a lot of cheat techniques to make the show absolutely hysterical. So you guys are gonna really like this. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh man, this show's great. Sorry, I'm really passionate about it. Okay. So, I should probably say some of the context of the scene. Very, very vague spoilers, by the way. So this villain is a projection of whatever the characters love most. So for me, it would be Tuxedo Mask. But for our dear protagonist Luluko, it's of the way she has a crush on. Super cute. So yeah, and again, see how many techniques you can spot now that I've told you about them.
君と僕と他の人もみんなつながっている。私はキル星人。私の姿をお前たち各々の思い求める姿に見えてるはずだ。その強い思い、我々宇宙生命性のエネルギー源にさせてもらう。そして自分の思い求める人の姿に見える。それって好きな人ってことは、ノバ君には誰が見えてるの？わからない。ノバ君好きな人って私？それとも他の誰かの？もううるさいし邪魔！誰も聞いてないよ！そっか、これって宇宙犯罪？宇宙なんとか先現行犯で逮捕します。
Oh my god.
この生命繊維を切ることはできない。なぜなら超高価生命繊維を使った同時に切断しながら再生し続けるからな。なんてことするんだ。しまった。でも糸だった。生命繊維も糸だからよく燃えるんだ。あれパチモンだったの？みんなこの惑星は宇宙犯罪の温床だったの？何？ソインジャッジメントガンモーフィンだ。了解。あのごとき若造に燃やされるくらいなら自分で燃えてやるわけだ。
Oh yeah, so yeah, it goes with a little bit of spoilers, so I'll stop it there. But yeah, so yeah, you can see like, yeah, I was making fun of a lot of Kill la Kill. Like I'm sure as you guys watched the show, you know, one of my favorite moments is in, I believe it's, I don't think it's either episode 15 or 16, but like the Elite Four, so Satsuki's underlings are about to fight like this huge crowd of people. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be amazing. And then it like freeze frames, and it just shows like this dynamic like pose of like all the characters about to punch each other, and that's like it. And like the screen like rattles, and you can hear like the fighting. I was like, oh come on! So yeah, they're making fun of that, where you know, so even Studio Trigger can kind of make fun of themselves, which is kind of fun. I like that. Be honest with yourselves. Okay, so moving on. Yes, definitely check out Space Patrol Luco. It's available on Crunchyroll. It is absolutely hysterical. It definitely helps if you're a Studio Trigger fan, because there's a lot of references there. So, why does this all keep happening? So why does this happen? Seriously. You know, if studios like Studio Trigger are able to use their limited budgets to create really fun, interesting shows, why do we still have this? Really, it's a long story, and I'm happy that you guys are here for me to tell it. But real quick, so when I was younger, I was really into magical girls, still am. But that top right corner is probably the most famous example of quality. That's, why can't I remember the name? Gosh, I'm gonna kill myself. What was it? Kami Chamakari, that's right. That was made by one of my favorite authors. She also wrote D.G. Charette. Yeah, pretty awful. Her cute, expressive chibi drawing is now, oh my. Oh man. And then that middle one with all the schoolgirls, that's actually found by my good friend Kai. Hi Kai, I know you're watching the video. He is a really cool guy. He writes on my blog, Our Inked Obsession. And what he does is he will read a book, like such as Les Miserables, and actually watch the anime version, and then write articles comparing the two and how they are similar and how they contrast. And he found that one watching Les Miserables. So yeah, John Valjean, like he had more problems to deal with than I thought. I mean, look at those girls. Oh my gosh, jeez. But yeah, and poor Sakura there. Oh, poor thing. Unfortunately, you can't see the Yu-Gi-Oh one that well, but the face is super off in the middle. I don't know what they were thinking there. That was just really, really bad. So yeah, let's get started on why this happens. So most of you guys probably think of anime as something like this. And that's not a bad thing, by the way, because this is our anime. We love it. You think of Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and One Punch Man. Oh yes, I love it. These are all great shows. I absolutely adore them. And pretty much it's even what non-anime fans probably think anime is. However, in Japan, it's quite a different story. This is what anime looks like in Japan. You can see One Piece and Dragon Ball Z are still there, or Dragon Ball to them. But you have shows like Saze-san, Chibi Marufu-chan, and Precure, or Glitter Force as it's now called on Netflix. These shows were the top 5 viewed shows 2 weeks ago in Japan. You probably haven't heard of at least 2 of these. So this kind of gives you an idea of how Japanese people see anime as a medium. It would be a lie to say that Japanese people think that anime is only for children. That's not the case. But much like in the States, they see anime as being mostly marketed toward children. They don't see it as like for children, but they see it as a medium that is mostly expressed through children's shows. So most of what we see in the West over there is one glorified advertisement. Now, again, I should clarify, I love Love Live. This is not me bashing Love Live when I say this. I actually recently went to Japan in May, and I noticed there was a lot of Love Live stuff. Like, I would be walking across the street, and there would be a huge poster, kind of like that, on the side of a building of a Love Live character. Yeah, you can see me there, down there with my best girl. Fight me if you don't think Rin is the best. Meet me outside after the panel. But it's just generally one giant advertisement. Basically, what animation studios are doing is they're not making anime to make money off of the anime itself. Like, so they're not getting a lot of money off of, say, advertisements. They're getting money off of Blu-ray sales and off of toys. So plastic figures that you might see in the Hall A at the Rosemont Center, those kind of figures are what make, and Blu-ray sales that is, are what, they're basically anime studios' bread and butter. They want fans to love these shows and go out and buy that merchandise. And Blu-rays in particular are one heinous example. Back when I was reviewing Sailor Moon Crystal, a lot of people said to me, well, why don't you just buy the Blu-ray? Because the Blu-ray fixes all the animation. Well, what they didn't know is at the time, the Blu-ray was only available in Japan. And if you don't know, Japan isn't really big into buying DVDs and Blu-rays. They're more of like a streaming culture. So for them, if you're buying a Blu-ray or a DVD, what you're actually saying is not, I own this show, but I am a producer of this show. This is something I care about, this is something I want to put money into. Blu-rays, in some cases, can cost anywhere from $30 to $70 for oftentimes discs with only 2 episodes on them. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Now in fairness, most of these Blu-rays, like you can see the bottom corner of the screen, will come with like some kind of merchandise, like some kind of art book or figure or other sort of thing to kind of justify the purchase. But anime is really, really expensive over there. Like if you, yeah, next time you like go to a booth and you see an anime DVD that has like 30 episodes on it for $50, count yourself lucky. It's not the case over in Japan. The show we watched in the beginning is an example of the other type of way that anime is seen in Japan, and really that being, Shin Kyoko Sokai Polyphonica was a light novel series, so they decided to make an anime series based off of that light novel, those light novels as they were coming out. You guys probably know stuff like Sword Art Online, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, Sound Euphonium. These are all based off of light novels. If you don't know what a light novel is, it's basically like a paperback in Japan. It's like a really cheap novel, very short. Oftentimes, I'm sure as you guys have noticed, especially Haruhi is probably a really good example of this, when the light novels are finished, when they stop being popular, the anime gets, well, discontinued. It doesn't continue. Haruhi infamously stopped at, I think it was The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya? So it stopped about halfway through the series, never continued. There's a really, really funny, if you don't know about a website called Anime Maru, it's like basically the Onion for anime. It's absolutely hysterical, definitely check it out. They had an article where it was like, man wakes up after 5-year coma, excited to see what's next for Haruhi. It's like, oh no! But yeah, no, so basically, what this means for animation studios is they're relying on the popularity of these light novels. If the light novel isn't popular, people aren't going to be interested in the anime. So what that means is animation studios have to work fast. They have to work cheap. If they're going to sell figures, if they're going to do all of that stuff, they have to get their anime out in time. So unfortunately, animators suffer. Animation takes time, and in order to make anime to account for these popular current trends, a lot of work has to be done and fast. This means they're either outsourcing their animation to countries like South Korea, the Philippines, or Vietnam, or they're working their local animators practically to death. Henry Furuo is an American animator who actually got work in Japan. That's actually an example of his animation for Naruto. He's worked on also Tokyo Ghoul, I believe, which is pretty cool. And this is what he had to say about working conditions. Quote, "Let me just be clear. It's not a tough industry. It's an illegally harsh industry. They don't pay you even remotely minimum wage. They overwork you to the point where people are vomiting at work and have to go to the hospital for medicine. They demand that you come in whenever they realize a deadline isn't going to be met. That probably means a month and a half of non-stop work without a single day off. Then you will be allowed to go back to your 6-day work weeks of 10-hour days." That's pretty bad. You know, with this pressure and this intensity, it's actually more surprising to me that we get excellent productions than we do these not-so-stellar ones. It's more surprising to me that there's actually not as much quality out there. You just can't live an easy life if you're an animator. You're constantly stressed and working, yeah, again, to death. The industry simply just doesn't allow them to take a break. So when it comes to quality, please understand, I do not blame the animators. I blame the people who put the animators in this place in the first place. There's no reason that shows like One Piece and Naruto, Bleach, etc. need to be non-stop productions. They can take breaks. We don't need the filler arcs. You know, give studios, give their employees time. I mean, this is my own opinion, by the way. Give them time to focus on what makes their shows great, you know, and to actually create, well, real quality productions. But of course, there is a bright side to this. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. After the terrible end of the first and second seasons of Sailor Moon Crystal, Toei Animation announced a third season. Announcement after announcement came out, and I waited with bated breath to see what it would be like. Images, trailers, and other productions actually made the show look really nice, and I was kind of surprised. But I was really hesitant. I didn't want to get too excited. But sure enough, the third season of the show was awesome. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was what I would definitely call a success. Gone was the lanky, awful art style. Gone were the awful faces. It had a few issues here and there, but there was nothing as show-ruining as something like Sailor Moon spinning that moon stick called Twitchy Leg. In fact, actually, I believe it's episode 18 in the second season where they gave Sailor Moon the wrong weapon. I was mortified. They gave her, well, as some of you might know, Sailor Moon fans, Sailor Moon has a different wand every season. They gave her the first season wand, and then when the Blu-ray came out, they didn't even correct it. I was like, are you serious? Like, I was so mad. Let me be frank with you all. I don't think it was me or my video that made Toei Animation care about this franchise, but I definitely know it was a small part of something big. If Sailor Moon fans had remained silent on this, you know, if they didn't speak out on message boards, comment sections on Crunchyroll, etc., you know, if they didn't vocally state, we love Sailor Moon and we hate this show. We love you guys, Toei Animation, because you gave us an original great Sailor Moon show, but we don't know what's going on here. If we didn't say anything, Toei Animation actually might have assumed that we just didn't like Sailor Moon in general and might have canceled it, right? Here's what I'm telling all of you guys, and here's really why I made this panel in the first place. If you see this kind of stuff, please don't hesitate to call it out. You know, don't be mean. You know, don't be like, you know, this sucks and you suck. But, you know, just be honest. You know, please be honest. Tell animation companies, tell people, fans, how much you care about these shows. You know, if you see something like as awful as Dragon Ball Super Episode 5, where Goku just looks so terrible. Oh man, some pretty awful shots in that. Let people know, you know, just don't be hesitant to talk about it. Trust me, I have people who are like, you know, if you talk about these shows, these animation studios are gonna punish us and never make them again. No, trust me, they want to know. They want to know why they're losing money. They don't want you to be silent, trust me. They would rather have the criticism, believe me. Animation studios are businesses first. A lot of people don't realize that, and they want to know if their stuff is gonna be successful. So, what I'm saying is to be a smart anime fan. You don't need to be like me and write reviews and do panels and be all crazy about the stuff you love. But again, don't hesitate to talk about it. Be open and honest with yourselves. Express your feelings on the shows you like. Oh, and also buy merchandise of the stuff you feel deserves it. You know, if you can afford it, don't go out and buy like a $70 Blu-ray, but you know, buy a figure, you know, do something like that. You know, buy a poster. Show animation studios that you really love what you love. Anime, in the end, like any other entertainment medium, is mostly going to be full of garbage. I mean, let's be real. It's mostly going to be full of low-quality stuff. But by speaking our minds about this and the other issues that affect the medium we love, we send a message to studios that we want less quantity and more, well, not that quality. Yeah, thank you guys so much, though. Yeah, it's pretty cool.